I'm just going to get right into it. Number 1, AI in science. Obviously, this is going to be number 1, and if that surprises you, then you've been living under a rock. As this amorphous, omniscient concept of quote-unquote AI is incorporated into everything, science is no exception. Researchers have been using AI to help write code, predict chemical structures and properties, or even run quantum simulations. Also, Agentic AI researchers themselves are going to keep getting attention in 2026 too, I think. I can speak on this from my perspective working for R&D inside of a massive life sciences corporation for the last year. We had people from other companies or labs that would come in and give us these kind of weekly lectures and seminars so that we could stay updated on the cutting edge developments in the field. And I saw a ton of focus on automation systems that could run full experiments by themselves, programs driven by LLMs to create findings, and systems to replace benchtop labor with very minimal human input. These types of platforms are already being developed and used in fields like biomedical research, where they can screen hundreds of potential molecules in a fraction of the time it takes for a human, for example. There are also probably going to be advancements with the types of AI that are being used in 2026 for science research. Right now, the most common use cases are with LLMs, or large language models. These work by using billions of parameters that they learn from massive data sets of language and media to predict the next output token. But in 2026, we may see smaller scale models that are cheaper to train and more specialized for their specific use cases, as those will be more accurate for their purpose and cheaper for the researchers to train and use. Some examples of this might be ChatGPT's mini models, or that's an example in the kind of LLM area, but then non-LLM AI systems like AlphaFold or Rosetta, I think those are going to take off in science a lot as well. My personal opinion on this is that it's incredibly dangerous and reckless to be moving forward with no real guardrails here, especially with the purpose of these quote-unquote agentic models being stated as literally, it's just to replace humans. It's to mimic humans and replace them as a cheaper alternative. I really, really hate that, and I think that's going to cause a lot of damage to real people and real scientists, and maybe not the shareholders, right? They're probably going to be just fine, but I care more about real humans and my fellow scientists than the shareholders. Hate to say it. We may also see it become very difficult to even test just how smart some of these AI models are as they get closer and closer to human intelligence. How can we know how smart it actually is if it becomes smarter than us? If the AI itself evolves past our ability to comprehend them, how do we even know if they're working? That might become a very pertinent question in 2026, and I'm very interested to see how it all plays out. Maybe not excited, maybe not happy to see how it plays out, but I'm interested at least. Number 2, gene editing. This is something that feels like it became a huge deal 15 or 20 years ago, and then we didn't really hear much about it for a while, and now it's coming back into the public eye. Well, there's a reason behind it. When CRISPR, this gene editing technology, was first discovered, it was super hyped up because of its potential. And then people got to work figuring out how we could actually use it to address disease and other problems, and that takes a long time. So now we're starting to see the first research being done on humans to address genetic diseases. In 2026, we could see even more clinical trials get started for these types of treatments, and I think that's super exciting. For example, look at KJ Muldoon. This was a baby boy who got this groundbreaking CRISPR therapy to treat his unique metabolic disorder, and they go into his DNA. He's been born, and they go into the DNA of his cells and edit out the mutation that causes this disease, and that is so cool. And this same team that worked with KJ, they want to test this therapy for even more children with rare diseases. And then there's another team that's hoping to address immune system disorders by using these types of therapies. These are all up for approval or the next step in the process in 2026, and I'm going to keep an eye on how that's developing. It's freaking mind-blowing to me. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, come on. We're editing the genetic code of humans to fix a disease that might have killed them. That's we're a very impressive species, and I think this comes from a feeling of love and empathy that we have for each other to protect our offspring and to care for each other. And I think that's really mind-boggling, and I really think it's a true testament to the human spirit. I've got to make a more in-depth video about how all of this works, since it's just so fascinating to me. In fact, I think I'll probably be making more detailed videos about all three of these topics that I'm covering today, because it's just really freaking cool, right? So make sure you subscribe or like or comment, interact with the video so that you can get these kinds of videos recommended to you in the future. Or if you want to get some behind the scenes updates and details on these sources that I use and the process of running this channel, check out my Substack to support my dream of doing this type of thing full time. Now, on to the last one, number 3, space missions. I love space missions. Something about this final frontier just gets me so excited, and I'm super hyped for what's planned for space research and space travel in 2026. This is one of the most exciting years in space research that we've had in a long time, and here's why. We're going back to the moon, baby. In 2026, NASA is going to launch the first manned mission to the moon in 50 years. They're not going to be landing on the moon, but they're just going to be orbiting around it, and they're going to be testing their equipment, but they're doing this to prepare for long-term manned missions to the moon, to set up bases on the moon long-term. That is so cool. In the future, they're even going to be looking at going to Mars with these manned missions, and that's that's unfathomable to me. We're going to have people living on the moon and living in Mars. Maybe, we'll see if that happens. We'll see if that's just hype, or we'll see if the Trump administration has anything to say about that. Maybe they're going to shut it down and privatize it. Who knows what's going to happen. But even if Trump shuts it down, though, 2026 is still an exciting year for space, and here's why. First, China is going to be launching a series of lunar probes. The Chang'e 7 is the probe that they're launching, and Chang'e is the Chinese goddess of the moon, so that's kind of an appropriate name. These probes have some really cool tech on board that I would love to get into detail about in a future video. But for now, the basics of how this works is it's a probe that can freaking jump around the moon. It's called a hopping probe, and it just jumps from crater to crater to look at different areas, and they're going to be looking for water in these craters, and I think it's so cool. That's so creative. China is also planning on launching the Juntian, I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, but it means the tour of heaven. And this is a huge telescope that's going to orbit their space station, and they're going to be able to get a ton of really cool space pictures with this thing. And I love cool space pictures. Also, Japan is planning on launching a mission to examine Mars's moons, Phobos and Deimos. We're going to get up-close pictures of these moons for the first time ever. We'll probably get those pictures around 2031, but they're going to be launching the mission next year. That's very exciting. Europe is also getting involved in the action, as they're launching a satellite next year with a goal of potentially finding habitable planets. It's got a ton of cameras, and it's going to be looking for Earth-like planets that are at the right temperature for liquid water to form, all over in our general vicinity. And finally, India is also getting some skin in the game. They're doing some exciting space shit in 2026 too. They'll be monitoring the sun using a solar probe that they've had floating about 1.5 million kilometers away from the Earth. It's been floating there for about a year, and it's a solar probe that looks at the sun. And this is really important because next year is a solar maximum, where a lot of exciting stuff happens with the sun. It's got more sunspots, more solar flares, more solar storms than normal. So, it's going to be a good time to look at the sun with this kind of probe and get some information about, how it works. This might mean that 26 will be a good year to see the Aurora Borealis as well, so keep an eye out for that. So, all in all, I think 2026 is going to be a super exciting year for space research and for genetic editing experiments, and for maybe not exciting year for AI research, but at least very interesting year for what happens with AI in science. So what are you excited about happening in 2026 when it comes to science? Is there anything that you want me to cover or explore so that you could learn more about it without having to do the legwork? Let me know in the comments, or shoot me a DM on Blue Sky or Substack. And if you liked this video, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube and on my Substack. The Substack is where you can find much more detail about the sources, as well as my progress in starting and running this channel. My goal is to become a full-time independent researcher and scientific communicator, and any support that you can give me is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.